Okay, we're doing this. We are doing this today. Is this thing recording? Yes.
Yes.
Alright. Hey everybody, and welcome back, or welcome if you are new. Hi. How are you? Drink some water, make yourself at home, sit down, relax, because this is gonna be a long one. If you happen to be a fan of extreme horror, thrillers, and smut, I think we should be friends, like best friends, and in order to solidify that friendship, I'm gonna need you to hit subscribe, okay? I feel like that would be really good for us moving forward, and yeah. So today I am going to be presenting to all of you a vlog that I did, and this vlog is probably one that's pretty messy, but hear me out, okay? So on August and September, I took a mental health break. I was not posting anything on here for 2 straight months. And I honestly just really needed that. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it, but like personal shit, whatever. Anyways, so I was planning on taking like a 2-week break, but then I deleted the YouTube studio. Basically the only thing holding me accountable, but I just did not need to see those stats just fucking presenting themselves to my face like, hey, you messed up, your video bombed, dude. Try again next time, dude.
Good heavens.
And I was just like, I don't wanna. So I took a break, but I'm back now, and during the break there were many instances where I tried to get back into YouTube and this whole vlogging thing on my channel. I could just never post about it, but finally I gathered the guts to just collect all this footage of various books that I read and wanted to talk about, and finally just put it out there into this vlog. So this is a vlog where I read very hyped thrillers that have been recommended to me ad nauseum, pretty much over and over again, books that I never thought I was ever gonna read. And this video has, so yeah, forgive me if my thoughts are all over the place, but I do have a lot of thoughts on these books that I'm gonna tell you about right now. So I read the books The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead, The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. My 3rd time giving Paul Tremblay a chance. Did he fuck up again, or did he finally do something that I appreciated? You will have to keep watching to find out, okay? Just stick around and you will see, because I do have some thoughts on this book, okay? And last but not least, one of the most famous thrillers to come out this year for some reason, The Plot by Jean Hans Corellis. I have thoughts on this one, trust me. So in addition to vlogging about these books, I did include footage on my mental health break and on my birthday trip. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Virgo, I know, shocker. And my birthday was on September 14th of last month. So yeah, earlier in the month, we went to this lakeside place to raft and eat some lovely tropical food. And then on my birthday, we went to the beach. And these are several books I read during my birthday / mental health break. I did buy myself a birthday gift. I got my very first Funko Pop. Hello, isn't he beautiful? This is my very first Funko Pop. One's childhood never dies, okay? This is, if it was gonna be any character, it had to be this guy, because I love him. And look at that, oh my god, it's so cool. I just love it so much. This is gonna be going with me everywhere, okay? Whenever I travel, whenever I go abroad, I'm gonna take this with me. So with that being said, enjoy the vlog. Alright, how do we do this? Let's just put you up over here, okay? 1 second. Okay, so I haven't vlogged in like a month-ish, and I'm trying to break these bad habits that I have instituted within the self, and should I do a weekly vlog thing? Is that a thing I should do? Either way, I am a mess. Okay, so the reason I chose to open the camera and start filming is because I'm reading a fucking amazing book right now that I didn't think I would like at all. Frankly, the reasons I went into this book were superficial at best, and the reasons I didn't want to read this book severely outweighed my wanting to read this book. Okay, so we're gonna talk about a book that I have thoughts on, and that I happen to be like 70% into reading, and now that I'm very far into the book, I just really want to have my thoughts documented, because I feel like we have a banger on our hands, okay? Now, let me just preface this by saying that I made a vow to myself that I would never ever read another book by Ashley Winstead, because In My Dreams I Hold a Knife was fucking terrible. Okay, let me In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Okay, so this book was one that I was interested in. I would see it on Bookstagram. I would see some very popular Bookstagrammers say that it was amazing. I had some friends who loved it. I had some friends who hated it, and I just wanted to see what camp on that book I would fall in. I fucking hated it, okay? It was literally The Secret History, but bad, and with all the cliches of a stupid thriller with not a single likable character, and the central mystery was just so shallow and lame. And I like a book with so many moving parts, but this book was one that had so many moving parts that were so flawed and just didn't work or cohere in the end. And the main character, what the fuck? What is her name? Jessica? I could not stand this bitch. This book was excruciating. I read that book like some weeks ago, so I'm sure I have more to say, but I'm done talking about it now. It's just not what I'm looking for as far as thrillers go. So with that being said, and with that out of the way, I was watching these reading sprints the other night, and Kayla from Books with Lala was talking about how she was thinking of picking this book called The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead for her book club. And she said that she went back on the decision to pick that book because it was too dark and had tons of trigger warnings, which means McKay, go read that shit right now, you know? You all know me by now. Whenever a book is described as too dark or too triggering or too disturbing, I am like, I want in. And I'm gonna stop this because someone just arrived. Hold on.
2 seconds later.
So I picked up The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead, and I was fully going in knowing what I was getting into. I was like, this could go really bad, and the people saying it was too dark are not extreme horror readers, so this might be a case and they are reading something that's dark for them, but when I read it, it's just like, okay, I've seen this movie before. Bitch. 1, yes, I've read darker books, but 2, this book is so fucking good so far. Like, what the hell? What the hell? I can't, it's literally, this compared to In My Dreams I Hold a Knife is like night and day. It's crazy. I am losing my mind. How? Like, how was the author who wrote that book able to write this book? It's like a whole different person. The thrilling elements are incredible. The complexity of the characters, oh my gosh. The moving parts just all seem to cohere in such a lovely way. The characters are genuinely flawed but sympathetic and fascinating, and I just can't help but root for them. The topics that are being discussed are just so heavy, but discussed with such understanding and empathy and not gratuitous at all, even though it does go to some very dark places. What the fuck? Okay, bitch. There is emotion and power behind almost every sentence, and when I was reading this book, I compared it to certain other books, and the one that I never expected to compare it to was Karen Slaughter. I cannot believe I am saying that an Ashley Winstead book has many shades of Karen Slaughter, and it isn't just with the woman abuse, okay? Although there is tons of that, it is the genuine grit and feel and tactile understanding of such raw, powerful human emotion. Do I want to call this a good for her? I don't know, but it's very feminist, and it definitely succeeds on so many levels. I need to get my friend Haley to read this. Oh my god. She is gonna love this, okay? So we basically follow this rich housewife named Shay, and she is someone who is just living this normal life. Obviously, she has a tragic past. So she listens to this true crime podcast by someone who she knows from her past but has since lost contact with. And as she's listening on the podcast one day, she sees that somebody who was in her past, a very close person in her past, was murdered. And this person was her college roommate, and these two friends were friends with this other girl who supposedly took her own life. So Shay contacts the person who runs the podcast, and they meet up and team up to investigate this whole series of unfortunate events, okay? And then we cut back and forth between chapters and get backstory on how she met the girls and why her relationship with them means so much to her, and the very dark history they share that has lots of trauma in it. Like, all of them have gone through so much trauma, and that trauma is the focal point of their relationship, and why Shay wants to go back and see what happened, because something definitely happened, okay? I am gonna issue a mild spoiler because I went into this book knowing nothing, and that's how I think all of you should go into this book because I did not expect, okay, mild spoiler, okay? It's not a huge giveaway. It's actually in the Goodreads synopsis, I believe. I was just under the impression that this was gonna be one of those books where someone R-worded her friend in the past, and so they're gonna go back and investigate the murder, and it was that someone getting revenge. No. The backstory involves this whole network of rich people who are part of this sex cult, and we have various depraved cult members, and these three main girls were somehow associated with this cult in the past. So much of this takes place with us wanting to know what this cult is all about. And bitch, and this cult is so fucked up. It's literally like, if you've seen the film Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, it is that. Like, it is literally that. And I did not go into this book expecting any of this. So with every passing page, I am like losing track of time. It's one of those books that's so thrilling that time just evaporates and you just get so sucked in. And there have been so many mediocre thrillers nowadays, so many grocery book thrillers that are marketed to a wide audience that are just so sanitized and afraid to offend anyone or trigger anyone, and so they just tell such lame stories to appeal to the widest demographic of audience as possible. But this book really goes there. This book goes for it. It's not extreme horror, but it does have scenes that did shock me, frankly. And yeah, it's so dark, it's so intriguing, and it keeps getting darker and darker and just ramping up the surprises. And let me say this, I'm about 70% in now. I'm about to finish the book out here. It is one of those books that has a lot of podcasts and flashbacks. And normally I hate flashback chapters, but in this specific book, bitch, the flashback chapters are so fucking good. They are like so intriguing and so juicy, and whenever we get to them, I genuinely look forward to knowing what's gonna happen. And it's one of those rare books where the flashbacks are just as interesting as the main plot, and it just delivers over and over and over again. And I know I'm overhyping it now, and I know that the ending could disappoint me, but so far I just need to just praise this fucking book, okay? 70% in, gonna go in, finish the book, come back when the thoughts are over.
A few moments later.
Okay, clearly I owe Ashley Winstead an apology because this book has taken over my life. Like, I am so close to the end, but we got a plot twist. I was not expecting a plot twist, okay? It's one of those books that's so unpredictable that I almost would have forgiven it for not having a plot twist because of how unexpected everything was. But bitch, there is like a huge, massive twist in the end that just screams Karen Slaughter. I'm not gonna say what. You guys don't know what Karen Slaughter books I've read, so this is gonna remain a mystery to everyone. But the plot twist, what the fuck? Also, this plot twist wasn't a cheap, you know, and suddenly blank. No, this plot twist adds so much complexity to the story. Knowing who is behind something in this cult, knowing what that person means to Shay, and who that person is, and the very ironic nature of what that person is doing adds so much depth and nuance and complexity into the topics that this book is choosing to discuss, and it is just so fucking phenomenal. When we found out about a certain person, I thought that it was gonna be jarring at first, but no, it is literally amazing. It is so fucking good. The more we read about this person's reasoning, the more we learn about the commentary on patriarchal indoctrination, and it's just so fucking insane, honestly. Like, I want to know if any of you agree. I just want to throw the question out there for those of you who have read the book. I think what this book is trying to say is that it's critiquing various aspects of modern day feminism and seeing how certain aspects of modern day feminism can be corrupted and taken advantage of by male chauvinists and men who want to dominate women and view them as objects. Like, that is a very interesting thing to me that this book is exploring, and there's just so much that I'm thinking about reading this book. And in addition to that nuanced and complex commentary, there's so much stuff about trauma and abuse. The mental health rep is phenomenal. PTSD, gaslighting. This book has just so many interesting topics that I can't fucking wrap my head around, but I'm trying to, but they're so good, and I need to read this book again one day and maybe do a full spoiler vlog just like analyzing every single thing, because when I read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, I was like, this is shallow, this is stupid. But reading this book, I am like, what the actual fuck? It is just so filled with interesting ideas about the dynamic between men and women and the shifts in power in one's relationship and how evil men tend to dominate, but how some women find some interest in their ideas and are willing to be subservient and are willing to go against other women, and it's just so fucking amazing. It's so good. It's so fucking good. It has taken over my fucking life, hands down. It's just wow, just literally wow. I finished the book.
Later that day.
I finished The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead, 5 fucking stars. 5 stars. Let me just walk you through my journey. So I went into this book expecting the worst book of the year. I start this book and I'm like, this is decent. I get further into this book and I'm like, this is interesting. I am invested. Excuse me, who allowed Ashley Winstead, who wrote probably one of the worst books I've read all year, to write the best thriller I have read all fucking year? Who allowed this to happen? Okay, this is why I believe in giving authors second chances, because 5 fucking stars. This is gonna be on my top 10 without a doubt. This is an amazing book. Read this fucking book right now. Look up the trigger warnings, okay? Because I get very annoyed when people give books a low rating because they personally couldn't handle the subject matter and they didn't even look up the trigger warnings. It's like, excuse me, that's not the book's fault, that is your fault, okay? If you have issues with the book, fine. But if you're like, it's me, not the book, 1 star. It's like, hello? Hello? Anyway, check in soon.
2,000 years later.
The next book in this vlog, and I think that book is gonna be Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. So yeah, check in soon. Alright, so I listened to about 20-30% of the book, and I gotta say that this narrator is fucking terrible. Like, I do not like the sound of this person's voice, and the way they enunciate words isn't that clear, and I have to slow it down significantly. Plus the fact that this book is so overwritten. I'm gonna give you an example of that soon, but I'm just gonna give a quick summary of what this book is about so far. So basically we follow this gay couple and they are going to this cabin, this lakeside cabin out in the woods, a very secluded place, and they are going there with their adopted young daughter named Wen. And Wen is this Asian child that they had adopted. She formerly had a cleft lip, I believe, and it was fixed through surgery. The book establishes that they're a lovely family, they love her very much, there's nothing going on between them. And the book opens up with Wen, the young girl, playing with this jar of grasshoppers, and as she's playing with them, she's like reflecting on them being trapped and shit like that, and in a very pressure cooker situation, they're gonna have to fight and shit's gonna go down. So then this guy, this creepy guy, comes up. He talks to her, he's trying to be her friend, and she remembers that her parents told her, like, don't talk to strangers, get the hell out of there. Whilst in the cabin, she's with her parents, and this group of strangers with the guy who she interacted with at the beginning of the book shows up with these weapons, okay? Now the parents are like, not today, Satan. So they lock up the house, but these guys break their way in. And they come in and they say, we were sent to you on a very special mission. Okay, one of you needs to kill a family member with your own free will, and only then can you stop the apocalypse from happening. I learned that there was gonna be a film adaptation by M. Night Shyamalan, who did Split and Glass and Old, The Sixth Sense. This guy knows how to make a plot twist. So I wanna see why he had so much hope in this story. Okay, but so far, I don't know what I think. I'm very bored. Like, this writing is very overwritten, but I'm also quite interested in the fact that it's very ambiguous as to what's happening. Like, you know that these people are probably just homophobic, crazy people who want to kill this couple and punish them for being who they are. Although this book isn't explicitly religious, they do recite very messianic type of rhetoric. They could be just a bunch of murderous assholes. But then whenever they attempt to prove that shit is going down, like hurricanes and storms, they turn on the TV and it's like truly every moment that passes, a natural disaster happens. So it's like, are they homophobic criminals or is this shit actually going on? And what I really love is the dynamic between the two men. I forget their names. I am not good with names, okay? But one of them, I think, was raised in the church. So he accepts things on a very emotional level and is slightly kind of letting their message get to him. And then the other one is an atheistic skeptic, so he is analyzing this from a very rational, skeptical, logical, deductive framework. So that complexity does lend itself to some legitimately tense scenes in this book that I appreciate. But yeah, it's taking a bit long to get going. Oh, I should also just say that it's my birthday tomorrow. So my family and a couple of friends are going to be going to these various places. So I'm gonna include all that in this vlog. So we're gonna be going to this lakeside cottage resort, and then we're gonna come back home, which is probably when I'm gonna give the final update on this book. And then we're gonna go to the beach. And then at the beach, I'm thinking of reading this thriller book that I've heard a lot of hype about called The Plot by Jean Hans Karelitz. So yeah, also I haven't been posting to YouTube. This is me taking a mental health break. So if you're interested in seeing what my birthday weekend / mental health break looks like, this is a glimpse into that. Also, I'm really excited to go to this place because one of my favorite directors is named Wong Kar-wai, and I love all his fucking movies so fucking much. And one of his movies from the early 90s is called Days of Being Wild, with an amazing cast of Asian actors who I'm sure many of y'all who love Asian cinema, I grew up in Asia, I live in Asia, are familiar with these faces if you look up the movie. And a part of that movie was filmed in the place I'm going to. The other place I'm going to was actually where the film Apocalypse Now, which I haven't seen, was also filmed, okay? So we're going to 2 movie sets, and for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge movie buff. I love movies. If I could have a whole channel about movies, I would. But I like talking about books more because I have more movie friends in real life. I don't have as much book friends in real life. I'm so excited. I'm gonna include videos of the film and show you what the actual place looks like. I think we're gonna actually get to enter the house where the movie was filmed. So yeah, check in soon.
The next day.
You could treat me right. Way oh, way oh, oh. Boy, take a chance, will you let me ride? Way oh, way oh, oh. I could be the best thing in your life. Way oh, way oh, oh. You got me singing. Way oh, way oh, oh. You look like a guy, you could treat me right. Way oh, way oh, oh. Boy, take a chance, will you let me ride? Way oh, way oh, oh. I could be the best thing in your life. Take a drive. Way oh, way oh, oh, oh. Way oh, way oh, oh. Way oh, way oh, oh. Way oh, way oh, oh.
Really slippery, I need to watch my step. Oh boy. Oh boy, this phone is not safe.
The best thing in your life. Maybe let's take a ride, take a ride.
From restaurant to river, nature.
Hey everyone, Wong Kar-wai himself stepped up. I'm talking to my camera. Embarrassing. So Wong Kar-wai himself, director, auteur himself, stepped on these very grounds. Okay, on the film Days of Getting Wild, that movie was filmed in this house, partially. The fountain's over there, the house is over there. I am standing where Wong Kar-wai himself stood, and I am fucking freaking out, okay? Going to the museum now. Literally, I'm embarrassing everybody that I'm with, but bitch, I just had to get this on camera. So it says I can't go in, but bitch, I'm trespassing. Just kidding, no. I don't want to get arrested. I cannot believe Wong Kar-wai stepped on these stones that I'm stepping on. Beautiful golden hour. We've made it inside the house, the pink house I just showed you. We're on a tour. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, guys. Oh my goodness, look at that.
And the son is Arsenio. That's the father of...
No, I did not sleep in this room. It's like a museum.
Such a fun time, honestly. I'm going to the beach tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna review The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. So far in this vlog, we've had a 5-star, and let's see what this book gets. Okay, so I will say that I liked it. I did like this book, and I did love aspects of it, but some aspects were just too painful to overlook, and that is the writing. I just can't. Books that are written like this, I just don't vibe with them. There's a fine line between being well written and saying things that are interesting, which this book certainly does, and saying things that are interesting but getting to the interesting things hard work because the book is overwritten. Now, let me just give you an example of just something that just did not need to be in there. Like, there are so many ways this could have been said. Some of this book was just so frustrating to get through because the writing was like this. Listen. His arms vine underneath Wen's body draped across his lap. She is swathed tightly in their flannel bedsheet, queen-sized. There is enough material to transform her body into an oblong, formless cocoon, a chrysalis from which she will not emerge. The sheer is white and decorated with clusters of small blue flowers. They brought the flannel set from home in case it got cold in the cabin. So it's like, okay, you put a blanket on someone and it's meant to, what the fuck? Like, excuse me. So I sent this passage to Meg and I was like ranting to her. I was like, why the fuck did you like this book? I hate this writing. This is boring. And she was like, I like the book. So I was like, okay. I'm gonna see this through to the end. Spoiler alert, fast forward through this and the spoilers will be gone. So the scene when they fucking killed Wen, when they were fighting for the gun and they accidentally shot her, I was like, what the actual fuck? My heart stopped, okay? And this whole time I was under the impression that it was gonna be very obvious that these 2 men and 2 women were just criminals who wanted to kill an innocent couple. But then they started killing each other. I was like, what the fuck? Every time a phase in the apocalyptic thing happens, they need to kill each other and put a pillowcase over the head and like clobber them with hammers. So when they first killed that one guy they were with, I was like, bitch, I thought this story was going one direction and it went in a completely opposite direction. So now I just really don't know if it's as black and white as I thought it was gonna be. The main couple, one of them is more emotional, more receptive to the message of these people, and then the other one is more skeptical, and seeing them fight and seeing them argue with each other is super fascinating. But then also seeing the infighting in the other group, but then both groups are fighting. It's just so fucking nuanced and good, and I loved it. There's no villain more interesting than the one who thinks that they are the hero of the story. That, to me, is what makes a good villain. Even though their sense of logic and right from wrong is completely fucked, they still think and rationalize and have interesting rationalizations as to why they do things. That's interesting to me. And yeah, the book did take a while to get going, but when it did and when the bloodshed started, I was like, I am in, I am down. It was so worth it. Sifting through all the annoying writing and getting through that boring beginning, the ending and the middle act made it so worth it, honestly. And amidst all the bloodshed, it becomes this thrilling examination of cult-like mentality and religious indoctrination and stuff like that, and how cults and organized religion are like self-affirming echo chambers, citing the will of a merciless and unjust deity to make extraordinary claims with zero evidence. And it really talks about the appeal that it has to people who accept all this on an emotional level. You know, the promise that faith and cult leaders bring to people who are seeking simple answers for very complicated questions, and how these ideas are enforced through fear. Like, they love bomb you to go into a cult. They love bomb you by saying, oh, this is an all-loving deity, yada yada yada. But in order to appease them, they use a lot of fear, like hell, like excommunication from the cult. And this fear works, and it ingrains itself in people's hearts, and it does so from a young age. So this book also takes into account like religious trauma and stuff like that, and it's just so interesting. And the people who invaded their house were people who had never met one another, but when you see how they met, it's like people with that same worldview connect and they metastasize and become something bigger, and that's how these cults form. And this book is a microcosm for those ideas, and it shows just how people rationalize absurd behavior all while claiming to be pious soldiers for the greater good. And I will say that the ending is very polarizing. I didn't know where it was gonna go, and seeing where Paul Tremblay ends the book gives me the impression that M. Night Shyamalan will likely change the ending, okay? But overall, I liked this book a lot. I didn't love it, I didn't give it 5 stars, but I gave this book 4 stars because despite my issues, the book did eventually bring the goods to the table. And yeah, Cabin at the End of the World, great stuff. I can't wait to see what M. Night Shyamalan does with this story. I do think he's gonna change the ending, for a fact. So I definitely think he's gonna add like a huge twist at the end, and I cannot wait to see what that is going to be, okay? So with that being said, I am just gonna chill for the rest of the day, and then tomorrow we're going to the beach. I think I'm gonna start the plot. So just a quick synopsis on the plot. We follow this man who works as a writing professor, and he has this student who is an asshole. Like, he hates the student, but the student is someone who claims to have this plot that's so brilliant that no matter how dumb you are, if you write this plot into a story, it will do well. It's a plot that's never been seen before. It'll be made into movies by Steven Spielberg and shit like that, and it'll be on Oprah's book club. It'll be a huge thing no matter how bad it is. As long as you follow this plot, you can't go wrong, okay? So I think one day we learn that that student has died, and so the professor takes it upon himself to write his own book, but loosely based around that plot that the student had told him. And of course he gets all of this success, right? But then one day he is accused of plagiarizing this plot, and his life goes completely awry. It unfolds, it is his undoing. And I saw this book featured on Jimmy Fallon, I think, so there is a large group of people who like this book, and we're gonna see just how this goes. So I'm gonna pack up, go to the beach, and then I will have my full review afterward.
The next day.
You got me singing way oh, oh, oh. You look like a guy who could treat me right. Way oh, oh. Boy, take a chance, will you let me ride? Way oh, oh. I could be the best thing in your life. Way oh, oh. You got me singing way oh, oh. You look like a guy who could treat me right. Way oh. Boy, take a chance, will you let me ride? Way oh. I could be the best thing in your life. Way oh. Maybe let's take a drive, take a drive.
So I realized that I summarized what the plot was about, but I never actually filmed my overall reaction to that book. And this book was a trip. Okay, it was a trip. For those of you who haven't seen my Goodreads review, I gave this book 1 star. I fucking hated it. It was horrible. This is the worst book I have read this year, okay? And I know some of you might be saying, oh, what about 9 Lives? And I'm gonna just reply by saying I didn't actually finish 9 Lives. Yes, 9 Lives is the worst book ever. But this is the worst book that I have read from beginning to end. I hate it. I fucking hate it. Okay, let me just tell you why. Yo, this book was hyped as the best thriller ever, but it was lackluster and literally overrated as fuck, I swear. The experience reading this book was absolutely excruciating. I'm surprised a book this tedious, flat, and pedestrian wasn't a contender for Reese Witherspoon's book club, because this is where this book belongs, okay? I am so sick of these thrillers that literally have nothing to them and just try to appeal to the most wide demographic possible and are just so safe and bland and tedious, and these are the ones that just keep getting promoted for mainstream appeal. And it's like, no, we need more of The Last Housewife and less of this. Well, me at least. If you like this book, I mean, I'm glad and jealous that you got enjoyment out of it, but this was just not for me, okay? It has a trope that I normally love in thrillers, but in this book, the trope just came out so late in the game that I was like, why bother, honestly? And that fucking, oh gosh, the second I saw that character pop up on the screen and I started finding out more about what the central mystery was, I was like, of course this person is blah blah blah, and at the end, sure enough, I was right, okay? And I was just hoping one more twist, please defy my expectations, but no, that was all the book was willing to offer me, and I was mad. But wow, even with that reveal at the end that I totally guessed, the journey getting there is not worth it. Just don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. If you love yourself, don't do it. Don't do it. Also, that twist everybody was hyping up, what the fuck? If you've read a thriller before, you're gonna know exactly where this frickin' book is going, trust me. Also, this supposed plot that is so good even an idiot can't mess it up is the subject of Lifetime movies. I was like, this can't be it. There is no... This author tells you exactly what that plot is, and it was not good. It was not surprising. It was not shocking. It was just, honestly, it made me cringe. Like, I was like, what? And the writing drove me nuts. The writing of this book was so annoying. It drove me off the wall. Like, you know the book The Secret History by Donna Tartt, right? Okay, so you know how those characters were fucking assholes? Pretentious, academic, smart, glasses over here stroking their long white beards, assholes. Okay, imagine if you took one of those characters and made them write a thriller. That would be this book, okay? That's how annoying this writing style was to me. I just, no. And from the beginning, I could tell that it was so annoying, but I was just like, I need to know why this book has so much hype, and I regret everything, okay? I'm getting disheveled because it's just hurting me to just recall this book, so I'm done. Anyway, sucks to suck, but this vlog ends not with a bang, but with a whimper. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. And since this vlog ended on a real shitty note, please, if you made it this far, kindly sexually insert the poop emoji into the comment section. Okay, comment this down below if you made it this far. And yeah, I hope to see you in future videos, and as always, take care.
I lose myself